gun here. In my last episode, I debudded this little beauty, y'all. That'd be my Sauer MCX Virtus Hybrid. Now, not much has changed since then. Well,
three things.
Now, for one, I swapped out the charging handle. Sauer makes their own brand of charging handle upgrades for the MCX pattern of rifles. And they have 3 different latch sizes. You can get small, which is what actually ships with the gun, medium, and large. And I opted for the large in this particular case. And it makes for better gription overall. And it's a nice little upgrade. But because it was SIG and everything from SIG is expensive, this little guy was about 90 bucks. The second modification is to the brass deflector. Now, I removed the forward assist and replaced it with a slick side panel. This was only a $10 part from SigSauerParts.com, and it shaved off almost an ounce on the gun. Now, what's an ounce? Well, ounces equal pounds, and this sucker is not a lightweight firearm to begin with. And frankly, I just don't use forward assists, so I didn't need the extra complexity or weight or bulk on the side of the gun. Now, last I swapped out the muzzle device, and I did in fact opt to go with the Q Cherry Bomb. And so this one is nice because the Cherry Bomb has a taper that matches up with the taper that's on the SIG barrels, so it's torqued on there nice and tight. I don't have to use shims or anything like that, nor the collar that comes with the barrels. I don't have to use any of that garbage. So it minimizes any extra bits and pieces that are in between my barrel and the muzzle device. I have ordered a Q whistle tip.
Well, you want to woo woo? It's that woo woo.
And that is in the mail, coming from New Hampshire. But weather up in New Hampshire is shit, and the weather by me has been shit, so everything's taken forever to get here. Now, this video ain't about the same old gun. Well, it kinda is. See, when I bought this sucker, I went full douchebag. I paid top dollar for this upper receiver on Gunbroker. Then I dumped a bunch of money into building out the lower specific to this platform with the adapter plate and the brace and the Geisley MCX specific trigger. And then I dumped even more money into replacing the handguard and the muzzle device. And as if that wasn't dumb enough, I took it
To the extreme.
and may have gone full retard, which I know.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
So one of the appeals of the MCX platform is the modularity. You can change out the handguard, you can change the barrel length, you can change the caliber, you can change the buttstock, all of it to be mission specific. And that's a pretty cool feature, especially for all of us wannabe operator types. Lots of other guns have tried this before. Bushmaster ACR is the most notable one that I can think of, and it was advertised to do all the same things with the quick change barrel system. But Bushmaster and then Remington both, well,
My God.
and it took 12 years to get a 300 Blackout kit on the market. By then, everybody was bankrupt and they don't make the gun anymore anyway. SIG wasn't going to make that mistake. And while the current offerings are limited to 5.56 and 300 Blackout, they do have an assortment of barrel lengths to choose from. For the average user, it would seem like a very economical and practical solution to be able to pop 2 Torx screws out and swap the barrel out, re-zero an optic, or maybe just swap out the optic for another one that's already zeroed into that barrel and do a little fine tuning. Problem is, my brain don't work like that. See, my brain is
Abby normal. Abby normal.
Y'all know I love me some 300 Blackout. And when I bought this gun, I really wanted to try it in 300 Blackout caliber and see if the piston operated system was any different than the direct impingement guns that I've been running all this time. But I didn't want to have to pull the whole gun apart and take out the barrel and re-zero things every single time I did all that. So,
You went full retard, man.
yes, I did. So here we have the other upper receiver that I have procure for the MCX Virtus hybrid pistol build. And I suppose in keeping with tradition, we will go over this little guy from ass to mouth, because that's how I roll. Now this here is a 6 Sauer Virtus upper receiver. Now I regret getting the gray, which I realize I can fix with a can of Krylon. The receiver itself runs $440.
You serious?
And if you're gonna go out and buy one of these, go get it on SigSauerParts.com. They have better prices than you're gonna find on Gunbroker, and you probably can find the black one if that's what you really want. Plus they have all the other bits and pieces that you're probably gonna wanna be able to build out or modify. So if you're interested in something like this or whatever. And no, I ain't sponsored by SigSauerParts.com. Nobody fucking sponsors me because nobody even knows who I am. So it ain't like that. I'm just throwing out a shout out here. Now, speaking of which, I did also remove the forward assist off of this particular one and swapped it out for another one of these slick side pieces. The cool part about this platform is probably half of what makes it so goddamn heavy and clunky is the fact that it's got little screws and bits and you can pretty much take off all the little parts and replace everything. It's meant to be indestructible and outlive me, which it probably will anyway. But 2 screws and you can actually pull this whole little plastic piece off, and normally it would have had the forward assist here. There's a roll pin in there. You pop out the brass deflector itself, put that into this part, put the roll pin back in, 2 screws, voila, done. While I was at it, I added one of them large charging handles on this guy as well, just because I'm fucking lazy and didn't feel like having to swap out the charging handle. But this is also the same one that I put into the 5.56 upper receiver, so it ran me another $90. Well, moving on up, this is the 9-inch barrel kit, 300 AAC Blackout with the 1-in-5 twist. I found this barrel kit on Gunbroker, and I only bought it there because the guy that was selling it was basically charging the same that would have been MSRP if I were buying it directly from 6 Sauer's website. Probably could have done better if I would have been a little bit more patient, but I'm not. Still, the cost of the barrel and the upper receiver alone hurts me about as much as now on the end of the barrel, I added another Q cherry bomb. But I got this one covered up with one of their bottle rockets, which is, I don't know, they call it a muzzle brake. It ain't no flash hider, and it's probably just a little less obnoxious than the cherry bomb itself, but it's also a thread protector for my cherry bomb, so when I'm not running a silencer on here, I can at least, if I'm running supersonics through here, and I don't feel like running the can, I can at least keep the muzzle flash from blowing up my flashlight and keep the threads protected. I topped this one off with a Neotech that I had floating around, and this will probably get switched out for something else later, but it's going to do just fine for now.
But I'm not finished yet. There's more.
So I can't have a separate barrel without having a separate handguard. The 5.56 upper that I bought came with a handguard that would have covered up the entire barrel, and that wouldn't work unless I had a silencer living on there all the time. So instead I opted to pick up Midwest Industries 8.25-inch handguard. This ran me another $190. And while I was at it, I got myself a dedicated Magpul AFG, Surefire Scout dual fuel, and that's running up to a mod button up here. And I got it all cleaned up with an emissary cable clip just to keep the wire nice and tight. Now this setup is nice in that the light and the switch are all part of the handguard. So if I remove the handguard to get to the piston for maintenance, cleaning, any of that kind of jazz, all my accessories come off with it. And it was kind of a chore to get everything lined up and get it to fit that way, but well worth it, because it does make it kind of slick that I can still get to what I need to without having to worry about ripping everything apart.
But I'm not done yet.
The The barrel kit that I purchased actually came with a bolt, and the bolt had been properly head-spaced to the barrel. Now, it's not to say that if I used the bolt from my 5.56 upper, that I would have had some kind of an out of battery and... But I err on the side of caution and fiscal irresponsibility. So I went ahead and bought myself another bolt carrier group. These are not fucking cheap. I put the bolt in that was head spaced to the barrel, so I know I'm good to go there. And while I was at it, I technically got one that is special cut that you can use Geisley triggers that are not for the MCX, and they will still work with the little dingus firing pin safety that's in here. So if I ever decided to go even more full retard and build myself out a whole lower dedicated to this upper so that I have just a whole second gun, I could do that, and I wouldn't have to necessarily go out and hunt for another MCX Geisley trigger, which these are a little bit more tricky to find and a little bit more pricey than a standard Geisley trigger. So yeah, I did that.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
So consider this a public service announcement for y'all. Don't be a douchebag.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So there you go, my full 6-hour MCX Virtus hybrid build out. In total, I think I spent about
$1 million.
Now I do like the setup. The thing shoulders well with either one of the uppers. It is heavy, very heavy. Frankly, all this is pointless if they don't shoot. So that's definitely the next thing that's on the agenda. But that's going to be a different video. Now that I've finished with the show and tell y'all how stupid I am portion of this project, I'm going to do a more practical comparison video looking at this next to, let's say, a Q Sugar Weasel, which I think is another overpriced 300 Blackout AR style pistol that my buddy Jarhead is willing to loan me for a few ticks. And I may do a separate one comparing this to my go-to carbine, since that is also an 11.5-inch upper receiver, traditional AR though. And I'm gonna have to get some range time in on both of these before I go there, just so that I can actually compare and contrast the felt recoil and reliability and, you know, ease of cleaning and maintenance and all that other jazz. Now, these are pistons. I don't expect them to be difficult to clean and maintain at all, because all the yuck stays up in the piston and the bolts themselves stay really, really clean. If it's anything like the BRN 180, then it's going to be just a really nice gun. But we will find out. And I'll try to actually do it suppressed with both and unsuppressed, so that I can understand the gas blowback and all that jazz, and then try out that lower gas setting, because that is still accessible technically on the receiver through these MI handguards. I can get in there. I'm probably going to need to use like an Allen wrench or something like that in order to wiggle it around, or I could just slide the handguard out of the way if I needed to. Okay, well, making this video made me realize how fucking dumb I am. And so I'm gonna go pour myself a lot of whiskey and start drinking and keep on drinking until I forget everything. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to go and check out my brother, Douchebag's Brother Dick, using the link in the video description down yonder. And as always, remember,
I don't know who you are out there, but I have a gun.